Julian De Rosier from the IIF. I am here at Mines and Money in London, joined today by Aldo. Aldo, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, thanks you, Julian, for inviting us to tell this story and interview us. Thank you.
Well, this is great to have you. Obviously, for people who don't know you yet, please introduce yourself and the company you're working for.
Okay, I'm the CEO of CleanTech Lithium, a junior mining company listed in the stock market here in London a year ago, who has 3 strategic projects in Chile, in the southern tip of the Lithium Triangle. We aim to be in production in 2026.
Okay, well, for everyone, that was already a lot of information. Lithium, 3 project, Chile. Okay, so first, let's go back to the roots. 3 projects in the Lithium Triangle. Can you tell us a little more about your land package?
Yeah, the most advanced project is Laguna Verde, who's already has a scoping study, and we started the PFS with it. We have 1.5 million resource of lithium, 800,000 of them indicated and measured, enough to sustain a 20-year production, 30-year production life mine. We have a baseline studies, early engagement with the local community, indigenous community, who are some 2 hours away from the site and 2,000 meters below. The site sits at 4,400 meters, so limited flora or fauna. And from day one, we aim to be the greenest lithium producer of the market with the use of renewable energy and direct lithium extraction. We have a small pilot-scale plant in Copiapó, the neighboring town, where we're taking the brine and processing it.
Okay, and so
that's one of the projects. The second is very much like that, just 3 months behind, progressing as well. And then we have another greenfield project farther north. These 2 projects are somewhat close.
So basically, when you're talking about 2026 production, maybe first we're talking about this specific project,
yes,
and then you already have other land package that you can scale up from that in the near future after this production.
Yeah.
Okay, this is great to hear. So scoping study, for people that are not maybe used to it or more used to PEA or more used to feasibility.
It is a PEA. Yeah, it is a preliminary economic assessment. Basically, that's what it is.
It is. Okay, perfect. And then what were the highlights numbers of this
$1.83 billion project. We have all the numbers are good. We, again, to sustain a 25, 30-year-old mine, we projecting out of benchmark minerals at $20,500 per ton. Very conservative.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, we don't want to.
And then
the capex is around $400 million to sustain a plant to construct a pilot plant, a plant like that, and that will be financed with offtake agreements
which is reasonable, done like the peers around Argentina, Chile, and so on.
With the big difference, we don't have an offtake agreement yet. We've had visitors from the larger car manufacturers, battery producers, with big household names from Asia, but we're holding till we have the value of the project before engaging in those conversations. But that's part of the finance, like you said, around the industry. Yeah.
Exactly. So then, what makes your project very different from the one from your neighbors, from the one that is around, from the one in the region, in the Lithium Triangle? You said first a big proposal on renewable energy and so on. But what would you say is really the distinctive feature of your company?
Yeah, we're more advanced than anyone with the early engagement with the community, with the environmental baselines done, with conversations with the government to progress maybe some of their projects, along with engaging in our projects in a near future. The fact that we are on the second drilling campaign, we're running 3 simultaneous drilling campaigns. We have we click all the boxes of ESG. We have almost 0.5% of the workforce is women in high places like head of operations, head of hydrogeology, head of community management, and not just so we're ready to click all the things and that's the reason we're listed in the UK that Europe needs. You want an electric car, but you want to know where the lithium is coming.
Exactly, and for sure, and there's more
the
pressure
other projects
to it.
Don't have it other than Lake Resources, who has produced 2.5 million tons 2.5 tons of lithium. We are the direct lithium extraction technology. Nobody else is as advanced as us producing.
Exactly. And then one thing we do have to touch, there has been a lot of talks mining in Chile lately.
Yes.
It would be wrong not to address it.
Please.
Can you tell us what exactly has been happening? Let's say I hear that for the first time. I hear news, Chile Nationalization, this and that. Let's take out all of the gravy around it.
Yeah.
And what does it boil down to, the situation in Chile mining?
Chile lost the first position on lithium production a few years ago against Australia, who developed out of rock. We have the green credentials. Chile has the green credentials and the knowledge with a very large renewable energy grid to turn the story around. And the government wants to get involved in the rental they do of Salar de Atacama to Aldo and SQM, and the conversations already started. The stock of SQM bounced because of that, because their rental agreement was set to be expired in 2030, and now there's an opportunity to extend it. Then the government holds salars via Codelco, a special vehicle on lithium. This holds 2 salars, and the same for Enami, who holds 7 salars. So we not only see this as an opportunity, and we're not a big project like those are. We're big to sustain production and everything, but Salar de Atacama is half of the world's reserve, or 37% of the world's reserve. So it's big, big, big. And we aim to get onto this private-public alliance, develop our projects, and develop the government project.
So you're seeing the government as a possible partner, actually.
Yeah, there's finally a step forward to develop the industry, and not wait for some clarification or something. We're actively engaging with the authorities.
Well, this is great to hear, because obviously from outside, sometimes the word that came out from Chile was had a little more negative connotation to it. People did not understand. We're not on the ground. If you don't come from the region and you don't know what's happening, then it's difficult to understand the real situation.
Yesterday, after the announcement, everybody came out. The Treasury Ministry, the Mining Ministry said, "Oh no, this is a good announcement. The private sector is a collaboration effort. We'll tell you all the details." But the president said yesterday, "This is not a nationalization." He said this is a collaboration with the private and the public sector, and it's the statement that the government wants to importantly engage with the development. It didn't even say majority.
Yeah.
It didn't say
it was very subjective, for sure. The first report I read about it and the publication, I mean, analysts are not even starting to come with real opinions. A lot of them are asking for sometimes complex documents, big document, and obviously, as you said, the words that are chosen in it have very different gradation that we can give to them, and I guess that was a big part of the government trying to be maybe more flexible and more maybe open
Salar
to
de Atacama,
business.
who created the biggest surplus, the first surplus for the government in the last 11 years, because it has a scheme of paying taxes to the government based on the profit that the company makes, SQM and Albemarle. It's always been 100% state-owned Salar.
Yeah.
It's just a rental agreement to exploit, and now they're bringing, rightly so, more environmental requirements for that as the lease will expire. And they said, let's engage in those conversations now, and let's have some of the state-owned vehicles to engage. Codelco, I was raised and born in the Codelco mine. It produces the same amount of copper that produces 30 years ago. The difference back then was the only producer in Chile, and now Chile has 80% of the copper being produced by the private sector.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing. It's always been there. It's a good combination, actually, to have the government engaging into developing projects and the private sector developing their own. Now they're saying, let's do it jointly. Yeah. Bring their knowledge, bring some of the money, the finance.
And let's be honest, I think that those kind of conversations are going to be happening more and more in different countries. U.S. with their act, the European Union that got it with the summit and so on. I mean, it's clearly conversations that are coming. We are looking at countries wanting to have more understanding of the mining that is done underground. One thing, more mining being done locally also, or from legitimate partners and so on, as we see the big crisis in Europe right now and what's happening with the geopolitical shuffling down there. So going back to CleanTech, maybe. So this is a geopolitical condition you are in. So basically, the great thing about it is that for investors, there's not going to be a reshuffling of the economics of everything that is going to come after. You guys are coming in with the new legislation, with the new bills out. Obviously,
we've been talking to them. Again, we tick all the boxes. We can speed up your projects. Yep. If you go in a bidding process, you wait some years, then you need to learn how to drill, how to case, how to come with your reports. You need to set up the technology of direct lithium extraction. You need to do a lot of things, and there's not one in the position like that. We've worked locally. There's a saying in Chile that God exists everywhere but answers the phone in Santiago, the capital. And it's true in many ways. We go to the local drilling permit and we say, this is our drilling permit. Okay, that's perfect. You're doing everything by the law, but we like you to do this. You like to bring water to have the roads wet so there's no dust everywhere. Or why don't you measure? This is not a requirement, but why don't you measure this is the middle of nowhere. Why don't you measure the sound that is coming out? So because we're thinking of adding that into the law, things like that, or the community saying, okay, we're not there up there because it's high, but you drive through our communities, and you know what? We don't want to have a transactional agreement of only money in the future. What we want is to defend our way of living, and at the same time welcome development in a way because we got to help the world with lithium. You understand?
Well, this is great to hear because quite often I think that this really tells how the world is changing. Vision of mining by the mining companies, by the exploration companies that are pushing actually the envelope because they come with new projects, they come with new economics, they don't have any historical issue, any legacy issue. So basically, they can put in right away the best of the best in class in ESG, the best in class in everything, and they can really raise the bar to everyone that's out there. So this is great to hear, and I don't think it can be done in any other ways as of today.
It's the only way. It's the only way. I'm a mountain climber and quite successful or known mountain climber, and I've been in these areas, and this is beautiful. It's minimum impact. You just set up wells, drill it up, pump it in an underground way back to the plant, processing it. You re-inject the 100 of a spent brine. Okay, this is so pretty. But let's set up a hut for the high mountains that we have here for mountaineers. Yeah. We need guides or somebody. Okay, the local community, they know this area better than anyone.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things that you could do. In the contracts that the government has, there's money for research and development. Okay, great, but why don't we use the research and development not only for improving the lithium or the renewable energy? Let's try to collect water from the ocean with Nest. We're using the local geologists to do the sampling and all the resource evaluation. Okay, why don't you change some of your careers at the university so they and other companies can hire them directly? There's so many things. If you start seeing it with this approach to engage everybody, all the stakeholders, and not only for the annual report, but really on the ground with the boots on the ground.
And then before we leave each other and before our viewers are done with this interview, maybe you want to tell us a little more about share structure and cash on hand because we still have to tell about those.
We raised 4 million pounds pre-IPO in October of 2022. We listed a year ago, March 17, with 5.6 million pounds at 30p. We won the award of a year for a mining company getting listed because the war started with Ukraine and Russia, and we got listed despite that. And then we raised 12.6 in November of last year. Most of that is in cash. We can't disclose the actual number because they're not in the public domain. That will take us all the way till the end of this year. We have this greenfield project. We might raise more. We're going dual listing in Australia and just try to bring value, not only to the shareholders, but to Chile and the world with what we're doing.
Well, at the end of the day, we discussed a lot about shareholders, but now I think the conversation is moving a lot more to stakeholders rather than just shareholders.
Exactly.
And it has to bring value to everyone.
Exactly.
Aldo, it was great talking to you.
Thank you
very much for your time. Thank you for the insight on what's happening in Chile, looking at it with different eyes, very positive eyes. You heard it. It might be very positive news. We're going to be waiting still a little how the story develops, but for sure, on the ground, companies that are working there seems to be liking what they're hearing.
Aldo,
thanks again for your time.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.